Canada Post workers across the country hit the picket line this morning after failing to reach a deal with their employer. Good evening and thank you for joining us. 55,000 Canada Post workers are officially on strike.
That includes 260 employees here in our region, which could see some of the greatest challenges because of the labor dispute. Vasilios Bellos was at the picket line today. Vasilios, what was the feeling like down there?
There was frustration amongst the workers, Ryan, who say they just want a living wage. The union has been in contract talks for over a year, with the strike coming just ahead of the holiday season.
Canada's primary postal service is drawn to a halt.
We are officially on strike.
Canada Post workers walked off the job Friday morning, including the 260 represented by the union in northwestern Ontario. Dozens were on the picket line outside their Alloy Street office throughout the day after a deal couldn't be delivered after more than a year of negotiations. The strike means no Canada Post mail or parcel deliveries will happen in the region until it comes to an end. Local union head Leo Favreau talks about what they're asking for.
We'd like a living wage. We have some health and safety concerns that we'd like addressed. Canada Post would like to make us sound like we're the enemy and everything, but we just want to make Canada Post work. We have some ideas that we wish they would listen to that they won't. Postal banking, community check-ins, stuff like that.
The strike, of course, comes just before the holiday season, the busiest time of year for the Postal Service. There are also concerns the strike may disproportionately affect smaller communities in the region, which are more reliant on their postal service. Favreau talks about the impact having rural letter carriers on strike will have.
They are the only lifeline for a lot of people. They're their only form of communication, and they need their stuff delivered to them. And that's how they get it. It's just that simple.
Canada Post provided a statement Friday and said to expect delays throughout the strike and that no new items will be accepted until the labor dispute is resolved. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
And we'll have more on the Canada Post strike later in the news hour. Fort William First Nation opposes the redevelopment of the Kekabeka Falls generating station.
The project is set to begin next spring, but the First Nation is urging all ministries involved to stop issuing permits. Justin Hardy explains.
It's important that people understand that Fort William First Nation has never historically opposed to a project in this way.
Chief Michelle Solomon says her community was blindsided earlier this month by the news that Ontario Power Generation was going ahead with the redevelopment project. The Kekabeka Falls generating station is one of the oldest in Ontario and is located on an area of deep historic, cultural, and spiritual significance to Fort William First Nation, according to Solomon. She adds that OPG has failed to engage meaningfully with her community or its leadership.
Fort William First Nation has not supported this project. We've been very clear with OPG on our position. We've met with them. And, we have not been able to come to any agreement on moving forward. So, to learn that they're moving ahead without addressing our concerns is really concerning for us.
The project is set to start in the spring to expand the generating station's capacity and prolong its lifespan by another 90 years. Solomon says the community is concerned OPG has not completed any archaeological fieldwork on the site. There is a registered burial site on the property, and the First Nation believes there is potential for more archaeological finds and deeply buried artifacts. Solomon explains she is not against the project itself, but the way OPG is going about it. She is hoping the province and OPG will take time to hear their concerns.
The first thing I'd like to see is for the relevant ministries of Ontario to stop any permitting for this project, and that OPG come to the table and do what's right and do the meaningful consultation that they commit to in their own reconciliation action plan, which they're not even following that.
In a statement, Ontario Power Generation says OPG is engaged with ongoing discussions with Fort William First Nation. We continue to engage respectfully as we prepare to redevelop the Kekabeka Falls generating station. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
The victim of a recent fire at McIver Court on Lincoln Street has now died. The male, whose name hasn't been released, was found in a bedroom of a unit on the second floor. He was initially taken to hospital with what were described at the time as serious burn injuries. The fire broke out inside that unit around 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, according to the Thunder Bay Fire Rescue. The Ontario Fire Marshal didn't detect anything suspicious during their investigation, and the blaze was most likely set accidentally due to the improper disposal of smoking materials. Nobody else inside the 6-story apartment complex had to be displaced, as the fire was contained to the unit where it started.
Lakehead University can now build the largest soil testing facility of its kind in the world, thanks to nearly $560,000 in funding announced by the province today. The facility will support the mining and natural resource sectors. Soil loads can be tested to ensure they can carry the weight of trains for deep mines and to prevent derailments. Thunder Bay Atikokan MPP Kevin Holland was there to announce the funding. He explains why his government wants to support the project.
They've been working on this project for 4 years, and this is the start of it. So this announcement is getting it off the ground, and it's going to be instrumental in helping our industries move forward with these new innovative ideas to help larger industries like our railway system, by example.
This will allow us to investigate ways to strengthen the soil. Once we simulate what kind of load is going to be subjected to, it will allow us to improve the soil so that it will take the load from the train without giving way or creating a derailment.
The money comes from the province's Northern Ontario Heritage Fund.
The Ontario government has signed a $100 million deal with Elon Musk's SpaceX to deliver high-speed internet to remote residents in rural and Northern Ontario. The new OnSat program, as it's called, will bring Starlink's high-speed satellite internet system to 15,000 homes in remote areas of the province. The system is expected to go live next summer. The investment covers equipment and installation costs, but not the monthly fees.
Ontario plans to ban registered sex offenders from changing their names.
Solicitor General Michael Kersner made the announcement this morning. As CTV's Siobhan Morris tells us, the proposed changes could also require sex offenders to disclose their email and social media accounts.
That's the way the public will always remember him.
Absolutely.
A tentative smile from a boy in his hockey uniform, frozen in time. Christopher Stevenson was 11 when he was abducted from a Brampton shopping center by a convicted pedophile in 1988. Christopher was found dead 2 days later. It's advocacy by his parents that led to the creation of Ontario's Sex Offender Registry, a piece of legislation the government wants to sharpen to make sure
The Ontario Sex Offender Registry continues to be an effective tool in protecting the most vulnerable people.
The Solicitor General is proposing a number of changes.
Clarifying reporting obligations for sex offenders serving sentences in the community. Requiring offenders to report information such as receiving a passport or driver's license within a fixed period of time.
And requiring disclosure if an offender changes an email address or online handle.
New reporting structures and requirements, particularly those focused on online profiles, are essential. As we know, sexual predators are more and more often using online platforms to target our communities.
There's also a move inspired by one of the notorious killers of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French.
This will stop the Carla Homolkas of the world from becoming Leanne Teal.
Homolka did legally change her name, a right the government wants to take off the table for registered sex offenders.
A new name provides a fresh start for these criminals, something their victims will never have.
Jim and Anna Stevenson are moved to see their son's image used to protect others.
The planned initiative that has been announced today is meaningful in so many ways, and brings us to another place in our journey that began on that Father's Day weekend.
The Solicitor General sidestepped questions about whether he expects a legal challenge to these proposed changes and whether he'd use the notwithstanding clause to shut one down. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
A local contracting company has created a new logging trailer that promises to make hauling timber more efficient.
LBC Contracting's 5-axle hinged trailers are being built by Twin City Industrial and can carry about 7 metric tons more wood than other models. Joel Mendelson has the story.
We're all about hauling wood and not steel.
The innovative 5-axle hinge trailer was designed by Thunder Bay's LBC Contracting. Company president Derek LeGros says the design was inspired by wanting to keep costs down and hauling high.
It's a lot more expensive to maintain the other ones, and the payload just isn't there to what they used to haul back in the day, and also for the mill that had the wood coming into it. It took a long time, but it eventually did catch on to once they found out just how expensive it is to maintain the existing trailers.
LeGros said the most difficult part of the design was the safety tests, but says the trailer did pass with flying colors. The new trailer will be able to carry a payload of 42 metric tons, whereas existing ones generally reach capacity between 36 and 38. The trailers are being manufactured under license by Twin City Industrial. TCI owner Carrie Smart says aside from making the hauling more economical for the loggers, another remarkable aspect of this project is that each step of the manufacturing process is done locally.
The margins have just been getting slimmer and slimmer, so if we can help the contractor deliver more payload per load efficiently, safely, I'm excited to be part of that also. The steel is supplied locally. We're going to deal with Kenworth, which is the local salesman, Derek's local with the design, and then the manufacturing, and all the jobs here will be local.
The first completed model of the 5-axle hinge trailer was just unveiled this week. It's already been purchased by Mooseland Contracting. The company's vice president, Ryan Kapush, says the new trailer will greatly improve their work in the region.
It's going to be more efficient. We're trying to haul more volume with less travel time on the highways. They're building to spec for our roads up here, right? So it's designed specifically for our log hauls that we're doing up here in Northern Ontario.
This trailer is the first of many to come. LeGros says orders are coming in and TCI is ramping up production to meet the demand. Joel Mendelson, TBT News.
Thunder Bay's biggest summer music festival is being rebranded. Organizers of Country on the Bay say the 3-day concert will soon have a new name and big changes regarding the genres of music being offered.
Yeah, she's in a tub or sipping on a damn good time, making noise with the girls on a Friday night.
The third annual Country Music Festival was the biggest one yet. Organizers estimated that up to 8,000 fans came out each day and night to catch all of the musicians. The big headliner was Blake Shelton, whose fee to perform was reportedly a whopping $1.7 million. Organizers say they need to make changes to ensure the festival's long-term viability and expand its appeal. As a result, this year's lineup will be a mix of country, rock, and classic hit makers. The new name for the festival will be revealed soon. It's scheduled to take place July 18th to the 20th at Fort William Historical Park.
The Vox Popular Film Festival is back again at the Definitely Superior Art Gallery, celebrating 2 decades of local and international storytelling in multimedia art formats. The festival strives to uplift the work of professional, independent filmmakers and spark the creativity of aspiring artists through the presentation of stories that reflect the interests and voices of Northwestern Ontario. The Film Fest has everything from documentaries to short films, features, animation, and experimental films, all available to watch in a variety of genres. The festival originated as the Bay Street Film Festival in 2005. Creative director Adrian Harpel has attended every one of them since he was 8 years old. He shares the magic of how the festival has grown the film industry.
At the time when it started, it was the only film festival in Thunder Bay, and so it's just really impactful to the local film industry and the ability to find collaborators. And if you're an aspiring filmmaker, you can come here, you can meet filmmakers, and then figure out hey, I want to do this, how do I do this? Well, you can meet a bunch of people who are doing it and can maybe give you advice.
The festival continues tonight and tomorrow. The website, voxpopular.ca, has the full schedule and tickets are available both online and at the door. Some of the films will be made available online after the festival.